Hello and welcome to Creators on the Crest. I'm Stephanie and this is the Wolf Out series, video 12 of 12. All right. I have pulled 2 cards to determine the theme for today, which I'll mention in a moment. And we're going to do a spread called Your Best Self, which is going to help us look at strengths, opportunities, ideas for moving forward, and really taking a look at what our goal is and how we might get there. If this particular reading doesn't resonate, maybe try another one in the series. If you're interested in a personalized reading, I will have links in the description below. You can also find me on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Creators on the Crest. Okay, so here we have the Moon and the Magician. Wow, 2 major energies. The Moon is the unknown. So we are talking more of the subconscious energies, the things that maybe aren't in plain sight, that need a little nudging to be illuminated, things that might kind of come up out of the darkness for us. This could be having to do with shadows. And then we have the Magician, manifestation, the number 1 card here. And this is all about what you're putting out into the cosmos. What are you putting out into the universe? What kinds of energies are you bringing here? What kind of transformations are going on for you? How are you utilizing the elemental magic? How are you creating what you want to create while still having these shadows here? Or how are you doing this without really knowing how it's all going to play out? And honestly, that's the beauty of it. You can have your goals and set your mind and your heart and your energies all on those goals. You don't have to know exactly how they're going to play out. Let the illuminations come as they're meant to come. Because sometimes we can stifle our manifestations by trying to think or thinking that we know how they're going to come to be, right? There is an energy of surrender that I'm feeling for some of you in this reading, that some of you definitely need to surrender into that kind of a knowing, that you don't get to know exactly how it's going to all unfold. So why trouble your mind with thinking about that over and over and over again? Do the steps, take the actions, have the planner, have the goals, have all the things, and take those steps, and then let the universe speak to you. Okay, I'm going to pull up some cards here, and then we'll get into the reading. And I will mention what each of these positions means here. Whew. Oh, so interesting, so interesting. Okay. All right. Wow. I'm having to sit with this for a moment because it's pretty powerful energy. Okay, the goal. Let's look at the goal first. So here we have manifestations. We know we don't get to know exactly how everything's going to play out. And our goal is nostalgia, the 6 of caretakers. Now, this is a card of honestly offering love. So even though it says nostalgia, I get very much an offer of like playfulness and love. And I actually love that energy. If you can bring the energy of playfulness and love into your work and what you're manifesting, if you can be in that fun flow, if you can use like your own experiences to communicate with people and relate to people and bring that authenticity to the table, that is such a beautiful goal. And guess what? It kind of takes you out of the how, because it requires you to be more inspired. Okay, so you can use what you already know from the nostalgia, right? From thinking about how you came into this world and your innocence, and how in your moments of innocence you could just create, you could just be, you could be curious, you could be playful, you could be all these things. That's the goal here, is to bring that kind of energy into the manifestations, because that will help you trust as you move forward that you don't have to know how it's all going to play out. You just know, wow, I'm manifesting something close to my heart, something beautiful and something purposeful. Now in the challenge here, we have the feminine abundance. So for some of you, this could mean you're just starting out on your path. You're growing, like I'm growing right now. I'm growing my channel, I'm growing my business, I'm growing all these things. And I'm learning that it can be challenging at times. It can be pretty rough, okay? And so abundance might be in short supply coming up here in the challenge position. So many of us are working on creating that abundance, but we're creating the abundance in alignment, not in working for someone else or having someone else tell us what to do, or working for some corporation that doesn't really care about us and never will. We're working on bringing in abundance in a very organic, natural way that is in alignment with our greater beings, our self, our gifts. And so allowing that flow, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes resilience. And so that is what we're challenged with right now. That is at times pulling our edges, okay? And that's okay. That's what a challenge does. It takes us to the edge of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to just give up. Fuck this. No, I'm not doing it anymore. And then boom, we usually have a breakthrough if we allow ourselves to be stretched. Now our strength here, this is cool. Compassion, the ace of caretakers. I love this because this is embracing those moments in our process where we can imagine, and a good friend of mine said this to me because we were talking about ways we could overcome some of our inner challenges, and she said, you know, Stephanie, just imagine like when you're in these moments and you're feeling down on yourself or you're feeling like you're stuck, imagine me, your bestie, you know, sitting next to you, or your sister, whoever you're close to, the person that you're close to, your brother, your sister, your bestie. What would they say to you? Would they tear you down? No. Would they judge you for being stuck? No. Would they make you feel small? Absolutely not. So if we can extend to ourselves the same level of compassion that our bestie would if they were sitting right next to us, or, you know, in our hearts in every moment of challenge, they would encourage us. They would say, you're strong enough. You can do this. You're resilient. You're masterful. You're beautiful. You're all of these things. So extending that compassion to yourself as if one of your friends or your most dearly connected loved ones would say to you. And being able to say that to yourself, being able to be compassionate with yourself, that is going to be the most helpful energy that you can bring into the challenges here. Now, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in a reading yet. I'm always amazed. In our weakness is the sun, growth. Growth as a weakness. Okay, so this is interesting because for this coming up with the moon here, because I feel like the moon was kind of the main theme energy here, it could be that the weakness is what we think we see and think we know on the surface about how to do something is not really what our inner self is tuned into doing, okay? So we may have made some observations out in the world and we may think, okay, my way, I've got to do it this way to get there. To grow, I've got to do X, Y, Z, just like so-and-so did over here, just like she did, just like he did. I have to do it that way. And that is putting a constriction around your own growth. You may not know, okay, in the moment that you wake up, you may not know, okay, how am I going to do X, Y, Z today? You may have a long list of things, right? For example. The important part, though, is that you get moving and that you don't put the light on exactly how someone else did it. You can be inspired by that. Absolutely. The sun is a card of happiness and inspiration. You could say, oh, that's cool. But do it your own way. Figure out a way to bring it in alignment with yourself. Figure out a way to trust that your intuitive energies, these moon energies, are going to come up for you. The unknown, the subconscious energies are going to present themselves. For some of you, I'm getting the message to really start looking at your dream time, or looking at when you're in those in-between hours of the sleep and wakefulness, and you're having like mini visions and things like that. Energy and information is coming to you all the time. What I am sensing is that for some of you, I need to encourage you here, with the sun being in the weakness, to let yourself get more in those other, those other waves of the brain, going more into the subconscious energies and allowing that to speak to you here for your manifestations. So don't force it. Don't think you have to do it exactly like someone else is doing it. Let yourself be inspired by those things, certainly, but don't try to, so let me give an example. I am part of a amazing mastermind community, and one of our one of the things offered to us were these amazing prompts, where we can take the inspiration and be inspired by the prompt to create our own stuff, right? And if I approach those prompts from my mental space saying, my mentor, she lined it up just like this, and this is how she did it, and wow, it was awesome, and everybody loved it. But it's not like the way that I can do it. It just isn't, it's not the way that I would talk, or the way I have to go into who I am deep down. And I have to say, okay, this is a really cool inspiration, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to let myself be flexible with it. And you can tell this comes up for me, and I know it comes up for a lot of you, because you get something and you're like, okay, follow step 1, 2, 3. No, mix it up a little if you need to. I think your mentors would tell you that. Make it your own. Make it your own. Let yourself speak to you about how to go about it. Don't try to do it exactly as someone else has done it. Maybe you need to do things in a little bit different order than is being presented to you, and that's okay. When we come together and we're learning in these groups, and there's awesome energy, sometimes it's our fears that come up and stop us, but sometimes it's just that we're trying to do it like the good little student, the good little girl, the good little boy, do it just like the teacher said. No, let there be some flexibility. Let your own self speak to you. Let some of your own brilliance come out of the shadows, right? Let it come out. Let it help propel you through some of those shadows that you might have that are keeping you stuck, perhaps. Very interesting energy. The goal here, interestingly enough, when we find this balance of the sun and moon here, vibrancy, the beta of leaders. This is the female leader. This is the female stepping up. So whether you're a man or a woman listening to this, it doesn't matter, because you can utilize this fiery energy of stepping up and being in the flow and being in your own creative space. For you men, there might be some women in your life that you need to ask about this, okay? So this could be coming in, because this is in the advice position. So for some of you men, it could be where you need to reach out to a trusted female counterpart and be asking her opinion on things, or her thoughts, or hey, can you help me brainstorm this? Or hey, while I talk this out, will you listen and give me feedback? And, for women, this is about you stepping into this beautiful, vibrant energy and maybe seeking out your own mentorship with someone. Maybe this is you becoming the mentor for some of you here. This is you becoming the teacher, becoming the mentor, and bringing all of your experiences to the table. Overall, I feel really amazing things being manifested. I do feel the constriction and I do feel the blocks at times. And we have to remember that those blocks come from thoughts and that we don't have to focus on those thoughts. We don't have to pick those thoughts apart. We don't have to paralyze ourselves in those thoughts. We're going to extend ourselves some compassion. We're human after all. It's natural, it's in our DNA to look at something judgmentally or competitively, but we have to extend some compassion. Realize that we don't have to do it exactly the way someone else did it. If somebody grew their business by doing XYZ and that particular method doesn't work for you, that's okay. Something else is propelling you forward, a different path to your own success, to your brilliant manifestation. So allow your own creativity to come in. Allow your own authentic experiences to come into this. I know that that's something that is vulnerable, and I'm asking you to be vulnerable. I'm asking myself to be vulnerable here. But it's so important that we know that as we're embracing this compassion and we're imagining all along the way, we have our most precious loved one, our bestie at our side, our biggest cheerleader is right there with us, extending us that compassion and mirroring to us how we can be compassionate towards ourselves. We will find that growth, but we're not going to find it by being exactly like someone else. We have to be authentically ourselves, exactly who we're meant to be, not exactly who someone else is meant to be. So feels like a little flexibility is needed here, but overall, wow, good movement. This is definitely a reading where it has felt like there's momentum, okay? So even though there might be this times of like, oh, do I have to do this way? And I got to follow this steps. And if I don't do this, that, and the other, everybody's different. Everybody's personality, everybody's astrology is different. The paths to their own success are going to look a little different. It doesn't mean you can't be expired? No, don't get expired. It doesn't mean you can't be inspired by a mentor or a trusted friend or anyone else, but also find the inspiration within. And that's the point here. All right, this has been an awesome reading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you next time.